How many of them are in possession of people in the United States?
I meant more than 10 in possession of the United States.
Joe Rogan's one of the latest podcast episodes dives headfirst into one of the wildest claims yet. The US government is allegedly hiding over 10 crashed alien spacecraft. You read that right. Actual UFO wreckage kept secret for decades. The conversation blends conspiracy, curiosity, and government whistleblowers. Whether you're a believer, a skeptic, or just in it for the ride, it's the kind of topic that grabs your imagination. Rogan's guests don't hold back, and neither does the speculation. So, is the truth out there, or just another distraction? The hidden truth. Let's talk about one that's been gaining real traction lately. The idea that the US government is sitting on a stash of crashed alien spacecraft. Yeah, not one or two. We're talking over 10 craft, allegedly recovered and stored in deep black programs. Sounds wild, right? But buckle up, because this isn't just some internet rabbit hole. People like Joe Rogan have been all over this on his podcast, and even respected physicists like Hal Puthoff, the guy who's worked with the CIA and studied UFO propulsion for real, have seriously entertained the idea. So, here's the basic gist. Multiple whistleblowers and insiders have come forward over the years claiming the US has not only retrieved alien craft, but has been reverse engineering them in top-secret programs since at least the Roswell crash in 1947. More recently, guys like David Grush, a former US intelligence officer, have gone public saying there's a whole covert crash retrieval program that even Congress wasn't looped into. Rogan's been covering this like crazy, interviewing ex-military pilots, government insiders, and fringe physicists who all seem to echo the same thing. Something is being hidden, and it's big. Now, Hal Puthoff brings a bit more science into the mix. He's not just speculating, he's been involved in serious efforts to understand UFO propulsion systems. The idea is that these craft aren't just flying around for fun. They operate using some breakthrough physics we barely understand. Stuff like inertial mass reduction, space-time manipulation, things that sound straight out of sci-fi, but might actually be real tech we just can't replicate. Yet. Puthoff has even written papers suggesting we should treat UFOs as physical craft that utilize advanced energy systems beyond anything human-made. But the real kicker, according to these claims, the US isn't the only one with access. Did you see this coming? Other countries like Russia and China supposedly have their own crash retrieval programs. That adds a whole new layer. This might not be about aliens in the Green Man sense, but rather a new kind of technology race, with exotic craft as the ultimate prize. Skeptics will say it's all hearsay. And yeah, it's true that we don't have conclusive, undeniable proof. No photos of hangars full of saucers, no alien corpses wheeled out in front of the press. But something's definitely changed. Congressional hearings are happening, credible witnesses are testifying under oath, and even former Pentagon officials are hinting that we may have recovered non-human craft. When you hear Joe Rogan say, if even one of these stories is true, it changes everything, you realize how high the stakes are. Maybe it's all a misunderstanding, secret drones, advanced military projects, or just wishful thinking. But when guys like Puthoff start talking about warp bubbles and metamaterials, and when Rogan keeps giving a platform to these voices, you can't help but wonder, what if this is real? What if we've had contact? Not in the sense of little green men knocking on the White House door, but in the form of recovered tech, lying in a vault somewhere, just waiting for us to crack it open. Whether you believe it or not, one thing's for sure, this conversation isn't going away anytime soon. UFOs beyond America. With a universe that's home to billions of galaxies, each holding countless stars and planets, the idea that Earth is the only planet with intelligent life seems kind of far-fetched. And over the past several decades, the topic of UFOs, or what's now being called UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, has gone from fringe conspiracy theory to something even governments are beginning to take seriously. But here's where things get extra interesting. What if Rogan and other experts are telling the truth? Some of those UFOs actually crashed on Earth. And what if world governments are hiding the evidence? This might sound like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, but it's a theory that just won't go away. In fact, reports of UFO crashes and the idea that governments are covering them up have been around since the 40s, and not just in the United States. We're talking global stuff here, with alleged incidents from Russia, Brazil, South Africa, China, Australia, and many more. The basic story is the same. Something mysterious crashes, the military swoops in, and everything is buried in secrecy. Of course, we have to start with the granddaddy of all UFO crash stories, Roswell, New Mexico, 1947. Initially, the US Army announced they had recovered a flying disc. Let's step back a little and dig into what really happened that day. The birth of Roswell. In the summer of 1947, something strange happened in the desert near Roswell, New Mexico. A local rancher found debris scattered across his property, shiny metal, rubber strips, and odd-looking materials that didn't quite resemble anything familiar. When the military got involved, they initially claimed to have recovered a flying disc, only to change their story the very next day, saying it was just a weather balloon. That sudden switch in narrative kicked off what many consider the beginning of modern UFO conspiracy culture. People didn't buy the new explanation, and from that moment on, suspicion took root. What made Roswell such a turning point wasn't just the mystery of what actually crashed, it was how the story was handled. For the first time, the idea of a government cover-up surrounding extraterrestrial life started to seem plausible to the public. The incident came right on the heels of the Kenneth Arnold sighting, where a pilot claimed to see flying saucers over Washington state. That term took off, and suddenly Americans were scanning the skies, imagining all sorts of otherworldly possibilities. Roswell fit perfectly into the growing narrative that something was out there, and that those in power didn't want us to know about it. Over the decades, Roswell transformed from a local curiosity into the cornerstone of UFO folklore. Books, documentaries, and even TV shows built entire mythologies around it. Eyewitnesses who had stayed silent for years came forward with stories of strange bodies, hidden hangars, and men in black. The military's shifting explanations didn't help. In the 90s, they tried to settle the matter once and for all by saying the wreckage was from a top-secret spy balloon program called Project Mogul. But for many, that just added fuel to the fire. Why wait nearly 50 years to tell the truth unless you had something bigger to hide? What Roswell really gave birth to was a new kind of mindset, the belief that governments aren't just capable of lying, but that they regularly do so when it comes to extraterrestrial encounters. This wasn't just skepticism, it was a full-on cultural shift. People began re-examining other strange events, from cattle mutilations to mysterious lights in the sky, through the lens of government secrecy. And with every inconsistency or delayed report, the conspiracy grew stronger. Whether or not aliens actually crashed in Roswell is almost beside the point. What matters more is the legacy it left behind. Roswell sparked a fascination and a deep mistrust that continues to this day. It set the template, a mysterious event, an official explanation that doesn't add up, and a public ready to connect the dots. The story of Roswell is less about what fell from the sky and more about what it revealed on the ground, a growing tension between the public and those tasked with keeping secrets. Now, let's go international, because the US isn't the only place with suspicious crashes. Ready for more secrets? Take the 1966 Westall UFO incident in Melbourne, Australia. Around 200 students and teachers at a school saw a flying saucer land in a nearby field before taking off at high speed. Shortly after, military officials arrived and allegedly told everyone to keep quiet. No crash, you say? Sure, But then, why did officials confiscate camera footage? And why do so many witnesses to this day insist something truly bizarre happened? Then there's the 1986 Brazilian case known as the Varginha incident, sometimes called Brazil's Roswell. Several people in the town of Varginha reported seeing a strange creature, described as humanoid with red eyes and a strong odor, alongside reports of a crash. Brazilian military forces were seen securing the area and removing wreckage. Rumors persist that alien beings were captured and that one even died in a local hospital. The government, as expected, denies everything. Over in Russia, there are a number of sketchy incidents, but the most famous might be the 1986 Dalnogorsk crash, sometimes referred to as the Russian Roswell. A glowing spherical object reportedly crashed into a hill in Siberia. When scientists later examined the site, they found strange metallic debris with microscopic structures that didn't match any known technology. The Soviet government initially downplayed it, but interest in the case has never fully died, especially among Russian UFO researchers. Given how secretive the Soviet Union was during the Cold War, it's not crazy to think something could have been hushed up. And it doesn't stop there. China has had its share of strange sightings too. While the Chinese government has been historically tight-lipped about anything alien-related, there have been occasional leaks and whispers, especially from military pilots, about strange encounters with craft that outperform anything human-made. Some Chinese UFO researchers have claimed there were crash retrievals in the remote Gobi Desert, but as with most cases, any real evidence remains hidden behind closed doors. Even South Africa has a bizarre case, the Kalahari UFO incident in 1989. According to various reports, a UFO was shot down by South African and US military forces over the desert. The craft supposedly crashed, and both alien beings and technology were recovered. It sounds like science fiction, but the story gained traction when leaked documents and testimonies from supposed insiders started circulating. Again, there's no solid public proof, but there's plenty of smoke, enough to make people wonder if there's fire. Why would governments hide this kind of information? The most common reasons suggested are fear of public panic, the desire to reverse engineer alien technology for military advantage, and honestly, just the simple fact that admitting extraterrestrials are real would totally upend our understanding of the universe. Imagine being the president or a top general and having to explain that not only are we not alone, but we've known for decades and kept it a secret. There's also the possibility that these crashes aren't alien at all, but rather experimental aircraft from Earth, either our own or from rival nations. During the Cold War especially, both the US and the Soviet Union were testing cutting-edge, often bizarre-looking planes and drones. Some people believe the alien explanation was actually encouraged by intelligence agencies to distract from real secret projects. In fact, some declassified CIA documents confirm they allowed people to believe in UFOs to cover for spy plane activity in the 50s and 60s. That makes the truth even harder to dig out. How do you separate real alien encounters from government smokescreens? Still, the fact that something is going on is hard to deny. In recent years, we've seen a shift. Governments, especially the US, have started acknowledging UAPs without fully explaining them. Former officials, including military pilots and intelligence insiders, have come forward saying that craft have been recovered and are being studied in private aerospace programs. Whistleblowers like David Grush have publicly stated under oath that non-human craft and even biologics have been retrieved. That's not your average conspiracy theory. It's official testimony. And even though critics demand more concrete evidence, the conversation has clearly moved into more serious territory. There's no definitive, undeniable public proof of an alien crash. No alien body wheeled out in front of cameras. No smoking gun. But there are piles and piles of suspicious incidents, cover-ups and witness testimonies from around the world. If you believe even one of them, the idea that governments are hiding alien technology doesn't seem so far-fetched. And if nothing else, it's a fascinating reflection of how little we still understand about our own skies, and maybe the universe beyond. The real aliens and UFOs. At some point, most of us have looked up at the night sky and wondered if we're truly alone in the universe. With billions of galaxies, each containing billions of stars and potentially even more planets, it almost feels arrogant to think that Earth is the only place with intelligent life. The idea of UFOs and aliens used to be reserved for conspiracy theorists and sci-fi fanatics, but these days, even serious scientists and governments are starting to take the possibility more seriously. That shift says a lot about how our understanding of the universe and our place in it is evolving. For decades, UFOs, or as the government now prefers to call them, UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, were dismissed as hoaxes, hallucinations, or misidentified aircraft. People who claimed to have seen them were often ridiculed. But recently, there's been a major change in tone. In 2020 and 2021, the US government declassified several videos taken by Navy pilots showing strange objects moving in ways that defy known physics, zipping through the air, changing direction instantly, and even appearing to enter the ocean without a splash. These aren't the grainy, shaky clips you'd expect from someone filming with an old camcorder in their backyard. These are real, documented encounters by trained professionals. And the Pentagon has admitted they don't know what these things are. Of course, unidentified doesn't automatically mean alien. There are many possibilities: advanced military tech from other countries, drones, or even natural phenomena we don't fully understand yet. But the fact that these objects are so far beyond our known capabilities is what raises eyebrows. If they aren't ours, and they aren't someone else's, then what are they? That's where aliens start to seem like a more plausible option, or at least a possibility we can't rule out anymore. It's also worth noting that the search for alien life isn't just about mysterious lights in the sky. Astronomers and astrobiologists have been scanning the stars for decades, looking for signs of habitable planets or radio signals from other civilizations. And while we haven't found anything definitive, we have discovered thousands of exoplanets, some in what scientists call the habitable zone, places where conditions could potentially support life. On top of that, extremophiles, tiny organisms that can survive in extreme environments, have been found on Earth in places like deep-sea vents and acidic lakes, suggesting life might be more adaptable and widespread than we thought. Let's not forget that even within our own solar system, places like Mars, Europa, a moon of Jupiter, and Enceladus, a moon of Saturn, could potentially harbor microbial life. Scientists are actively looking for evidence of water, organic molecules, and even possible biosignatures. If we ever do find even the tiniest form of life elsewhere, it'll be a massive game changer. Proof that Earth isn't unique and that life in some form can emerge elsewhere. So, are UFOs real? Absolutely. At least in the sense that unidentified flying objects have been seen and documented. Are they alien spacecraft? That part's still a mystery, but the possibility seems more real now than ever before. As our technology improves and our curiosity grows, we're inching closer to answering one of the biggest questions humanity has ever asked. Whether it turns out to be intelligent beings from another galaxy or just bizarre atmospheric events, the search itself is fascinating and, frankly, kind of thrilling. The universe is a big place, and maybe, just maybe, we're not alone after all. And if they exist, will humanity stand a chance? Before we speculate on our chances, we must confront how little we know. The universe is incomprehensibly vast, with billions of galaxies, each containing billions of stars and potentially even more planets. As of now, we've only found microbial lifelike conditions in places like Mars or Europa, but that doesn't rule out the possibility of intelligent civilizations. The Fermi paradox, which asks why we haven't yet encountered aliens despite the high probability of their existence, suggests either they are avoiding us, are too far away, or perhaps no longer exist. This uncertainty alone makes it difficult to assess whether we'd stand a chance in the event of contact. Are we talking about microbial life, intelligent but peaceful species, or a hyper-advanced civilization capable of interstellar travel and warfare? If we assume that an alien civilization is capable of reaching Earth, they are almost certainly more technologically advanced than we are, potentially by millions of years. To us, their capabilities might seem indistinguishable from magic. As Stephen Hawking once warned, contact with such a civilization could resemble the arrival of Europeans in the Americas, an encounter that did not end well for the indigenous populations. And if Joe Rogan is correct about the US hiding some crashed alien spacecraft, the implications would be staggering. Humanity would be forced to rethink its place in the universe. Such revelations could unify or divide nations depending on how the information is handled. Technological breakthroughs from alien tech could revolutionize science, medicine, and energy. Trust in governments might erode further due to decades of secrecy. Ethical concerns would arise about who controls alien knowledge. Religious and philosophical beliefs could be challenged globally. The military balance of power could shift dramatically. Public demand for transparency and global cooperation would intensify. Ultimately, disclosure could mark the beginning of a new era for humanity. What's your sense about this? Drop your comments below and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more uploads.